Jesus Christ, man. All right, so if you are one of those losers who actually values their own mental health, then you're probably not privy to gaming Twitter's latest attempt at terminal dry dictum. So for y'all that don't know, Assassin's Creed is a historical sci-fi franchise that, along with being the reason behind the surge in your local Masonic Lodge's membership, was one of my favorite gaming franchises of my late adolescence and early adulthood. Well, I mean, that is until the Desmond story went more left in communism and the whole genre just became baby's first Elden Ring, basically. So since the franchise's inception, fans have been basically begging the devs to set the genre in feudal Japan because, you know, Japan is to single white men what Ghana is to upper middle class black professionals. Basically, what I'm saying is they think Japan is just an IRL RPG and that they're the MC. So yeah, that Samurai Zone in Westworld pretty much, but with lollies and Pokemon. And if there's one thing that white people do not like seeing in their fantasies, it's black people. Unless it's a sexual fantasy, of course. I mean, we are good for something, obviously. The trailer for the new AC game dropped like a day or two ago, depending on when this actually goes up. And it features a digital render of a black Christ portrait cast in the role of Yasuke, the first black samurai. And oh boy, you can imagine how the First World Problem Committee responded to that one. Like, even the bad hairline brigade got in on the act, bitching and moaning over nothing that couldn't be answered adequately with a Google search, or literally the cover art, which features a Japanese woman alongside him as a playable character. But again, folks, anything less than a G cup and a thong kimono and she's too woke to be noticed, let alone playable. Never mind the fact that this is the first time in the series that the MC is an actual historical figure, or the fact that he was in close enough proximity to all three of Japan's great unifiers that they could all easily be roped into the plot. Not to mention Honda Tadakatsu, Date Masamune, and Akechi Mitsuhide, who, I mean, literally fought against Yasuke at the Honoji incident. You know, the guy that Yasuke surrendered his sword to, the guy who killed Nobunaga. Like, anyone who's halfway creative can already see how this shit basically writes itself. And the rest of y'all would see it if you actually took the time to walk outside and take a bath every now and again. And no, not a shower, nigga, a bath. Like, you need to soak all that Cheeto dust and doodle crust from out of your fingernails and butt crack before you can re-enter civilized society. Like, I am so serious. Like, some of y'all smell like you've been hotboxing your own farts for so long that your taste buds are just preset to ass now. Like, for real, it's time to put the controller down and hit up the Bath and Body Works, bucko. Actually, no, don't do that. Just order it off Amazon. There are actually other people outside, believe it or not, and they ain't gonna appreciate, you know, you coming in smelling like ass. Anyway, I want to make this clear that the outrage over Yasuke's inclusion has little, if anything, to do with Asian representation, because not only are Sekiro, Samurai Warriors, and Ghost of Tsushima, among others, right frickin' there, y'all were not bitching this hard about a movie based on the Boshin War, the literal end of the samurai age that starred Tom freaking Cruise of all people. It's not even about historical accuracy, because not only was, yes, Yasuke a samurai according to one, the way that term had evolved by the Sengoku period, but two, and more importantly, actual Japanese people and historians. But we're talking about a franchise where you literally fist fight and strangle the Pope to near death before finding God locked in a dungeon under the Vatican. Yeah, y'all missed out back then, for real, man. It's the simple fact that a certain demographic of miserably undersexed white people always seem to get their testes twisted when they're forced to acknowledge the existence of black people outside of porn or poverty. Like, for real, y'all, let's stop all this cap about, well, a game set in Japan should have a Japanese MC. It's only right because, one, again, she's right freaking there. And two, y'all didn't have a problem with Phantom Pain, Far Cry 3, RE5, Modern Warfare 3, and a bunch of other games that had you playing a white man killing black people in Africa. Matter of fact, now I think about it, that might actually be the reason why y'all bought those games in the first place, because Lord knows y'all can't even be bothered to look a black man in the face IRL. So I guess this is the next best thing to actually growing a pair. And I think I know why. Remember what I said about Japan basically being an IRL RPG to a bunch of weebs? Japanese people are basically just real life NPCs to that lot. So it's easier to project onto them than black or brown people for what should be obvious reasons. And this is especially true when it comes to anime. Like, these characters are very obviously Japanese, both culturally and geographically and linguistically, duh, nigga, but they don't look Japanese. So it's much easier for a white kid to see themselves in Yuji or Deku, or even Goku for that matter, than in Usopp or Killer Bee. And even then, we have to basically do the equivalent of a doctoral thesis to prove that a very obviously black character is a black character to y'all, for the simple reason that y'all just don't like anything, fiction or non, where you can't reasonably project and thereby be centered. I mean, why can't you do that with a black protagonist? We've been doing it with white ones for basically ever. Hell, we had to adopt green and blue niggas as niggas because there was such a dearth of niggas in popular mainstream animation at the time. And that's the thing that pisses me off about this discourse. Y'all didn't give two shakes of a flaccid dog's dick about Asian male representation until black people entered the chat. Like, anybody remember Neo, the game where you play a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Englishman who doesn't even become a samurai in real life until 5 years after the events of the game? Like, that's just straight up racism, man, with an extra heaping helping of bitch assness to make it taste better. Like, if you are going to be a POS, don't be a pussy at the same time. The two do not mix. Trust me, I have a daughter. Like, is there a lack of Asian male representation in Western media? Yeah, of course there is, but not for lack of volume, but for lack of diversity. It's rarer than a good bar from Ice Spice that I agree with IGN, but this article I think puts it perfectly. There's no shortage of Asian samurai, shinobi, and martial artists in popular media. The problem is that that's practically all there is. And I'm not trying to speak for Asian males, but personally, I would low-key feel some sort of way if people reduced my identity to the parts that they personally enjoyed as a scapegoat for their own dickheadry, which a lot of folk have. Really, the question we need to be asking is, how is Ubisoft going to screw up what's basically a gimme of a game, because they always find a way. But this pearl clutching some of y'all are doing over a black dude that's already been so heavily featured in Japanese media that he's arguably as recognizable as homegrown national heroes needs to go the same place as y'all's hygiene habits have. In the toilet. That's where.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back.